Have you ever had a Turkish apricot? Because good Lord, they are tasty. They probably have more sugar than a jar of honey, and I do not care.
And you shouldn't. Instead of going to the Louvre, I did a yoga class in French. To congratulate myself, I will eat all the croissants.
You deserve them. There's nothing more chaotic than the silent rulebook followed by humans inside a dog park. We really need a better rulebook, people. Look alive here.
The most middle-aged thing I did today was act like a total weirdo trying to find the right glasses on my head to read a label in a store. I should just end my misery and jump into the sun.
Bon voyage, Heather. Have such a good day. Hello, world. Welcome back to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just that.
Episode 200. Holy moly on a sandwich. What the hell? I just made that up.
Just yelling over here.
Woo, 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 woo. If you could imagine in your amazing imagination, like confetti's going off and there's like champagne bottles
That's
being
right.
popped, you hear all the audio of like a party in the background, disco balls. That's
It's like when you send
what's
somebody a
happening in
happy
our
birthday
minds.
text and there's like balloons
Yes,
that like show up
exactly.
on your iPhone for people who
Or
have
when you
iPhones.
become a patron and it's the emoji, like the party emoji, kind of like that.
Something like that. Yeah. You know, party in your pants.
Party in
whatever
your
kind of party you want to have one. Because Heather and I have limped along to 200 episodes somehow.
We have always been in our party pants, Sarah.
Totally. I'm never not wearing my party pants. You know, just party all the time. Remember that Eddie Murphy song? She wants to party all the time.
Party all the time, party. That was Eddie Murphy. That's
It
right.
was,
Gosh.
yeah,
He had
yeah.
he had a little music career, didn't he?
He had a short music career. Yeah, he had some other song I can't remember right now. I always remember that being weird, where I'm like, why is Eddie Murphy like a singer?
Sometimes it's a little weird. Like, I had a friend here that went to see The Weeknd in Paris. They had a ticket. It was a friend who lives here, and
It's probably a fun show.
probably a fun show. But like ever since I've seen The Idol, I feel like he's an actor. He's one of the main actors, and I kind of lost interest in his music, which can happen. It can happen. It can happen the other way around too. If you're an actor gone singer, and then like you don't totally respect them for one of the things that they do.
Oh yeah, I can think of.
It happens.
Yeah, it goes both ways. Remember, She's Like the Wind by Patrick Swayze. Now that song I liked very much.
So did I.
Actor to singer works.
It
You know,
worked.
you got
It
Jennifer
worked.
Lopez, kind of
Yeah.
singer to actor. I mean, at least I knew her as a singer first. You know, she's fine at
And
both.
then don't you have DJ Jazzy Jeff, aka
Will
what's
Smith.
his nuts?
Yes,
Will
Heather.
Smith. I mean that.
Yes,
I
Heather,
appreciate him
also
more
known as Will
as a
Smith.
musician.
Actually, no, he's the Fresh Prince. What are we talking about?
The
DJ
Fresh
Jazzy
Prince.
Jeff
Yeah, I'm
is a
sorry,
different
not
person.
Jazzy Jeff.
Good
Fresh
grief.
Prince. Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince.
Yo, everyone out there, welcome to Have Such a Good Day, the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment. This time, we're coming from Paris, France.
One of
Well,
us
at least
is,
I am.
all right? I'm sitting
here in
in
spirit,
a
Sarah.
garage in NorCal like a boss.
Like you are a boss.
I
The
feel
boss that
very
you
bossy.
are. Very bossy, wearing your bossy pants.
Uh-huh.
You have bossy and party pants. It's like one pair of pants that kind of like,
It's like one
It's
leg
kind of-
is all party, you know?
And
The
the other
other
one's
is
all
all,
boss.
pro. I'm a professional boss lady over
you
here.
are. In fact, Sarah, you helped me a lot. We struggled. We were on the struggle bus before the show trying to get my stupid mic to work. And we realized I actually thought it was my mic maybe because it wasn't showing up as an audio option on my computer. But it was a gosh darn dongle. My
was.
dongles are too old.
Yeah,
That
I
sounds
mean,
funny.
and the thing is I am tech support for a variety of people in
Yes,
my
you
life. Everybody who's not like the tech person goes, well, Sarah can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Heather is enough of a tech person, so like I'm not like doing tech support for you. But
No, I mean,
I have
but you
been
helped me
through
along.
what you went through, the troubleshooting stuff, and some of it is just like it's so dumb, and you go, that's not what it's not going to be this. But
Yeah, and it's- you
sometimes
have
it
to have the
is, and so you just have to do
experience.
all the dumb things, and I mean, sometimes
Yeah,
something's just straight up broken, which totally sucks. But that wasn't it this time. We made it
it wasn't
work.
it. And I have a very, very low key setup today, Sarah. I'm on, let's see, 3 cookie boxes. I've got my mic set up on 3 cookie boxes.
Yum.
It's a very sketchy little pile I have going on here, but it works. Hey man, whatever works. That's the title of the show today.
Whatever
Whatever
works. Whatever
works.
works, y'all.
So how's it going over there, Sarah?
It's going
In
good.
Cali. Is
It's
it
going.
hot?
Whoa, my voice just broke. I'm in puberty, Heather. I'm actually in something that's like the exact opposite of puberty, where, because of the big C, I take all sorts of things to
So now you have the big M.
basically, yeah, like cool those hormones down so we don't have,
I
another
need to
little
get you one
crop
of
up
those personal
reoccurrence.
fans, like that you just kind of hold on your face and your neck and just like, I think you
Yeah,
might
a
need one
little
of
personal
those.
fan. I wouldn't say no. In fact, I stood in front of, I had been to the gym, so I mean, I was, I had a good excuse, but stood in front of the fan yesterday, like pulled my shirt up and just like stood there for a while. Like I need this. I need this. So yeah, everybody, episode 200. We're gonna get right into it. And I'm gonna talk about health. So the gym was just one
So
little
get
part
ready.
of this health thing that I'm doing. So I've got some friends who are like into like deadlifting right now. Like working with a
What's
trainer.
that? Oh,
Deadlifting is like when you're standing, you bend over, you pick up a bar that might have weight on it, that variety of weight, and you pull it up to basically your almost like your hips,
yeah.
and then you just put it back down. Like you're not lifting it over your head. And because of that, you get, I mean, people that are like my size who are like deadlifting 200 pounds. I mean, you have to like work up to that point. But I've
Yeah.
got, a couple of friends who are like, where I'm like, I don't think I could do that, but I'd kind of like to try. I just I don't know what I could, what my baseline would be. Probably something like 50 if I'm lucky. I don't know. Don't have a ton of upper body strength, but we're working on that. Anyway, I had mentioned that I joined a gym recently, and part of that is, well, just because I need to exercise more, and
Yeah.
I like exercising, and part of that is kind of like boredom in a way. I'm a little, what I don't I don't want to make it seem like I'm just sitting around with nothing to do. But what I do is, because I'm on my computer like intensely, in chunks of my day, it's really easy for me to like spend the rest of the chunk of the day doing that more, but being like, now I'm like not on the clock anymore, and I can like do research at my leisure and, read things. And, of course, like we all understand what it's like to, do things on the internet. But I was doing that just too much. And I was also like, that feeling where you're like, I've gotten to the end of the internet, but I'm just like still clicking around, and my pleasure points are not being like, they're not firing anymore. I'm just like doing the same, like checking the same things over and over, checking my email. Maybe I got an email. Nah, I didn't get an email. Or the emails that I did get, like I still don't want to respond to. So I'm just like gonna look at them more. Anyway, so gym stuff. But I also, I'm kind of in this like, this always happens when I really recommit, in my inner monologue to myself is like, recommit to exercise. Because once I get going, like I think you even mentioned that on a recent show, Heather. You're like, once you get going, you're great at it. It's just that,
Exactly.
you have these phases, which is totally true. I think we all, can relate. So I want to be more in that, like, I'm manic exerciser lady, rather than, I just don't do it anymore. It's like the I don't do it anymore version of myself kind of sucks. I'm less happy. I don't
Yeah.
sleep as well. I don't feel fit. I mean, it's like,
Are you
there's,
sleeping better now that you've been
oh my
going to the
gosh.
gym?
Well, I mean, we're still somewhat early days, but like,
Sure.
I am sleeping better. I mean, I go to bed like,
You can tell
I'm
it's making a
tired and
difference.
sore, but like a good
Good.
sore, it's like that,
That's great.
like I am depleted physically. And then, yeah. And then I close my eyes and I wake up. Well, I mean, I usually do still like wake up and like have a little water or have to pee or something. But like for the most part, 7 hours later, I'm like, wow, that was fun. I slept. I like legit slept. Anyway, and I'm also doing like sleep tracking with the Apple Watch, which I never really did before. I'm aware that it's there, and I used to do that all the time with my Fitbit. I wore a Fitbit years ago, which is much less of a computer and really an activity tracker. But I used to love waking up in the morning and just like looking at my deep versus REM sleep. And
Yes, I love that
when I
too.
got my Apple Watch, which was, I don't know, sometime last year, like a year ago, for whatever reason, it felt bulkier when I slept and it bothered me. And so I just, I would still wear it during the day, but I didn't wear it to sleep. And I'm just going to like make myself do it. It actually doesn't bother me now that I'm used to it.
Try loosening it up.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the size of your wrist, obviously, but
Sure.
yeah, I'm cool. It's like if I just sort of say, "Well, you're wearing this," then I stop feeling it. It's not a big deal. So
Yeah.
anyway, so I'm doing that, and it's interesting. I was thinking about, okay, well, why did I get so off my game? Exercise wise, because about 2 years ago, like to the day, I was in COVID shape. And that's some people are like, oh, COVID, I was just like drinking every day, kind of thing. Like I was in great shape for me. I was in probably like some of the best shape I've ever been because I was just hanging out, not going out, not eating rich food, not going to wine bars with friends. I mean, life was like sort of coming back to normal, but definitely wasn't there yet. And I was just, I just would just like jog, play Supernatural on my Quest, do sit-ups in the garage, like play with my dog. I mean, that's all I was really doing. And then besides like eating an entire thing of banana bread by myself, because I've made banana bread like 3 times a week, I was, like if I'm just cooking for myself, I'm not really a crappy eater, Like I'll eat like steamed broccoli for dinner, no problem. And so, anyway, so I was sort of like, okay, let's go back. Let's look at my iCal from, August 1st, 2021. We're recording this on August 1st, 2023. I don't know about you, Heather, but like I will put things in my calendar when I need to remember them, for the future. Obviously, that's what a calendar is for. But I also will sometimes go back and be like, you know what? That was a significant day. I'm going to make a note. And so like in the future, if I go back in the past, I can sort of remember when something happened on a day.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, like,
Yes.
oh, I twisted my ankle this day. Like, I'm going to kind of remember that I did this just to like get a sense of like when I healed and felt better. Anyway, I think we all do this to some extent. Anyway, so I go back 2021 and I knew what I was doing when I did it, but I had on August 4th my cancer diagnosis in 2021. So we're talking
Wow.
like
That's a
within
year
just a
ago.
couple days of today. And
Wow.
I I had appointments written in my calendar because I had gone to my gyno and then I had gotten an ultrasound and then I had gotten a biopsy and then I had gotten a mammogram and then I had gotten a phone call. And that all happened within like a week of that first week of August. And at that point, like it was like, the record stopped, and all of a sudden it was like everything changed. I had no routine anymore. All I did was go to Kaiser Hospital and get tests, and it was like this whirlwind. And then I had surgery scheduled, and I was not working out. I will tell you that much. And then after surgery, like I couldn't really until like, I don't know, months later, not comfortably, I mean, I got like half my body ripped off me. And then, I sort of had fits and spurts all throughout 2022, but nothing that was like I would be proud of, you know what I mean? I was sort of a physically miserable person. Well, not, I mean, maybe that's dramatic, but you know what I mean. I was just
Yeah,
like,
it was a struggle for
yeah, like,
sure.
why me? Meh, I hate my body, blah, blah, blah. And then I had to get another surgery last year, last October, which, it's like, okay, let's do that again, and then here we are. It's sort of like, here we are now. It is August 2023. And besides, like, a little VR, listen, I don't want to say like I haven't like worked out. I have definitely done that, but nothing that I consider any sort of regular, committed exercise. And I no longer, well, knock on all the wood, everybody, I no longer have an excuse not to. I don't think I'm still sick. I definitely take, this ongoing endocrine hormone therapy medication that is not super kind to me. So, I guess I could be like, well, I feel crappy and I didn't used to feel crappy. It's like, well, you know what? There's nothing I can do about it. I either feel sort of crappy and figure out a way to keep exercising through it, or I just like give up and throw in the towel. And that's not the solution. I don't want to do that. Like, I'm not ready to do that yet. I've still got some life left, people.
Yes, you do, Lanes.
Yeah. Come on.
You sound great, actually. I knew you would bounce back quickly. It has been a year, for sure. It has been a tough year, but I like this kind of new leaf you're turning over. I think you're at that point of healing where you can actually, yeah, you couldn't really exercise during that time. It was just, there was too much going on, and now you're on the other side, and you're
Yeah.
able to build yourself back up, and I'm really excited for you.
Thanks. Yeah. Not to get like too like into the weeds about, medication, but I've got this, well, breast cancer is a different beast for a lot of different people. So, what I'm doing is not necessarily the, surgical and chemo and medical regimen that the next person will have. Although some people do, they do have what I have, but the ongoing treatment is, it's tough. It's there's like risks for osteoporosis and weight gain and hot flashes and poor sleep and neuropathy and some of that stuff I've already experienced. I know it could be a lot worse. Some people have, one or all of those things like really bad. I'm
Yeah.
somewhere in the, let's call it 30% range, of bad, or I don't know, 3 out of 10 type thing. But yeah, it's kind of like, well, you know what? I could feel sorry for myself and keep doing that. Or I could just be like, well, here's the new normal, everybody. Watch me.
Exactly.
Watch me sleep well and then deadlift 200 pounds later.
Can you please keep us posted, or I don't know if you know right now
I'm
how much
actually
dead weight you
the
can
free
do.
weight area, I like being a gym rat, but I'm definitely a cardio and then, the Nautilus machine person. The free weight area, besides like just like some like little squats, I don't
Yeah.
really hang out over there because I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I don't want to ask like a stranger for a spot. I don't know. I get like weird. I don't like talking
You
to
need
people
a
at the
gym
gym.
partner.
I
You
need
need
a
a gym
well,
partner.
or like not like I'm not like, I don't know. I could spend my money on things besides a personal trainer, but I think my gym, you can just like get like a session with somebody and like get a sense of like where you are, in your
Sure.
fitness journey. So I might do something like that. Anyway,
Yeah. I
enough
think that'd be
about
cool.
my health. Heather, how is Gay Paris?
Well, very gay and very happy and exciting.
Good.
In fact, there's a lot of, I think we're in like a kind of a perpetual pride situation, because
Okay.
everywhere I've been in Europe, it's like Pride Week or Pride Month, or, which
I
is,
did not
always
mean that when
great.
I said Gay Paris, by the way.
I know you meant happy. You meant
Yeah.
happy. But it is interesting because I feel like we've been on this perpetual pride celebration, which is great. I mean, just more partying, really. I've been burning the candle, as you do. I'm traveling with someone who is more energetic than I am. So trying to keep up with her has been somewhat challenging, but we've been having a lot of fun. And, speaking of exercise, I've been feeling a little guilty because, Mallorca was a little more low key because we didn't. I mean, I went on a couple hikes in Mallorca. Actually, we stayed on this mountain in this place called Dea. You would have loved it. It was very like it was kind of like a little bougie, but like bohemian kind of, and it was very mountainous. And there was a beach below, and you could hike all the way down. Like within like an hour 15, you could go all the way to the bottom to the beach and then all the way back up to the house. And it was like the perfect hike. If I lived there, I would do it like many times a week. It was just like so awesome. And then, really tough uphill, but then you come across donkeys and sheep and lots of fun like farm animals and goats and lots of mountain goats. So I did get a little exercise, but that wasn't like every single day. But I feel like I've been walking a lot. I'm definitely doing a lot of steps. I think we were doing about 15,000 steps in Berlin. I mean, we probably did the most walking in Berlin. That was like we tried not to, we didn't even actually take the train at all, the subway. We took a few Ubers if we were really far, but for the most part we walked. So I feel like I'm getting okay exercise, but not like the type where that you're getting, where it's like legit cardio, where I feel like I'm sweating and I'm using my muscles. Like walking to me, it doesn't feel like a workout. So fast forward to Paris, and I'm doing a lot of walking again because I think, in my opinion, Paris is the best walking city. It's my favorite. I love to amble Paris. I haven't
Paris
been.
is
I've
also
been on the
cool
subway once.
because, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
I was just gonna say it's cool because really, as cities go, it's not that big.
It's not.
The metro area, like you can kind of walk from one side to the other if you really want to.
You can. I did. I mean, today I walked everywhere, and I love it because it's just a really great way to stumble upon. It's kind of what I like to do where I'm like, that restaurant looks really cute. Let me make a note of it, and then I'm going to look it up later and see like what do they serve and what's the vibe or whatever. Maybe we'll go there. But I do have a few like reservations and plans like every day, but for the most part, I kind of like to pepper things in as I explore the area. And I feel like I already like today followed up on all these. I'm like, oh, I'm going there. Oh, I'm going there. Let me write this down. And I kind of did that today. And I feel like I have good instincts because I loved everywhere that I bookmarked. I had such a good day today. And yeah, it's appropriate because that's the name of our show. But I really did have such a good day. I kind of wandered around by myself, and just yeah, like that whole like just stumbling upon things that look interesting to me, where you're not like in a group where you kind of have to agree on where to go and that kind of thing. I was able to just kind of be free. And I went and did a yoga class today that was like a 5-minute walk. I thought, what the heck? Let's stretch out those muscles that haven't really been used. The only thing really that I've been doing is eating a lot. Lots of croissants and lots of
Why
I
not?
don't know, just food that I normally don't eat though, like kind of rich, and that's fine. But I really do like a good sweat. So I was like, I'm just going to try out a new yoga class. And I personally think some people might be like, oh, well, why not go to the Louvre or a museum? That doesn't seem like that's something you could do in California, go to a yoga class. But to me, I find it to be a very cultural experience because it's in French. You have to follow along in French. They're not going to speak English for me.
No.
And it was great. It was like in this like really cool, like modern yoga studio. And it's neat to see how it has evolved. Yoga has come over here. I mean, over so many years. I mean, way back when I lived here, I mean, I don't even think yoga was here at all, which was in, late 90s. So it's kind of neat to
It
see
probably
what they're
was.
doing.
I think yoga's
Yeah, it was
been,
probably like
worldwide
not
for
as
some
prolific.
time, but yeah,
Sure.
I know what you mean.
Not as popular, I guess, not as
Yeah.
mainstream. So now, I mean, there's actually a lot of yoga studios in the area, but this one in particular was just sort of like the perfect Perfect class in French. I enjoyed it immensely. And then I kind of ambled around. Over the weekend, we agreed to do the kind of the boat on the Seine kind of thing, which was sort of the one really touristy thing. I don't
Mm-hmm.
normally like to do a lot of the touristy stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm going to go to the Eiffel Tower and I'm going to do those things, but I've done a lot of that since I lived here. And, but I had never done the boat on the Seine. And I just thought, what the hell? What? It's an experience, and it was really lovely. It was actually like a very kind of, you had like a fancy lunch, and you're on this boat that's like an electric boat, so it's super silent, and
That's
you're
fun.
really floating across the water in this like really smooth. It's like a nice feeling, and it,
Well,
it
and
was it was a
also
nice experience.
it's like I know what you mean about the touristy stuff, but it's like, and I mean, you're a little different because you actually have lived in Paris, so you know it pretty well, but it's like, why not do touristy things? You're on vacation.
Yeah.
And how else to see a beautiful city than from in the middle of the river?
100%. It
It's
was
like, what are
totally
you going
worth
to do?
it.
Swim and see it that way? Like, no, you got to get on a boat. It's fun.
Exactly. And the thing is, it is a really unique perspective because you're seeing it from the artery, the main artery, which is the river. And I've never seen that before. I've never seen like the Notre Dame from there, and you could really see all the construction they're doing on it. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
was, it was very unique. And I ended up going to the Marché aux Puces, which is the big famous flea market that is very gargantuan, but the coolest like flea market I've ever been to. Amazing. Just, I mean, you could do it for days and days and days. I mean, it's just one street after the next of just these vendors, and it's just such unique stuff, and you like vintage jewelry and like, really cool like old ashtrays and just like movie posters and just like anything you can imagine, furniture, lamps, like everything.
It's
Super
fun.
fun. I hadn't done it before. And then I
I've been
went and
once,
saw.
and it was really
Oh, you
cool.
did? Oh,
Well,
cool.
I get overwhelmed by things like that, and I just
So do
walk
I.
away never buying anything, but I still
Yeah.
enjoy the experience.
It is fun. I was only there for a couple hours. It was after a couple hours on foot, like looking at all that stuff, I'm kind of done. It's kind of like a museum for me. I have a limit.
Listen,
So
there's
yeah.
nothing wrong with a good museum, but I definitely have been to so many museums in the world. It's like they're great. I've never like said that was a terrible museum. Well, actually there have been a couple of museums where I was like I didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
But that whole sort of like you need to go to the Van Gogh museum because you're in Amsterdam. It's like or I could like walk around at a flea market. That sounds fun too.
Exactly. So I'm trying to balance that because, like, I don't want to be pounding the pavement going to every single museum, but I am going to museums. I'm trying to hit some of the ones I haven't been to. I've been to the George Pompidou, but we're going to go again. There's some, like, kind of architecture exhibit. That building means a lot to me because I lived really close to there. And then we're going to do this, like, Louis Vuitton museum. It's supposed to be cool. And this other modern museum. And we're going to hit a few spots, but
Yeah. You gotta do a little of everything in Paris, you know?
you really do. You really do. I mean, boy, am I burning the candle. I mean, you kind of have to because, like, what are you going to do? Like, Netflix and chill while you're in, a place like this? I mean, you might as well go as far as you can. Last night we had one night in, which was actually really nice and I think needed for everybody. But I think that's probably the only night that we're going to be doing that. But I went to my old hood in the fourth arrondissement, and I saw, my old apartment, and was trying to remember the exact address and the what the door looked like, and it kind of brought me back, and how different the neighborhood is. I mean, different, not in like a big scale different, just like all of the shops and
Well, the
the
Marais is like shishi now.
it is. It's very shishi. Although we did a major sweep of vintage shops there yesterday. Like it was like
Yeah.
an all day vintage shopping with one of our French friends and who like is a vintage shopper. And I'm really not, but like I really kind of learned to appreciate it. I got like this really cool like raincoat for like 20 euros. I mean, you really, if you dig, you can find some gems, and there were amazing shops. And I never really did that when I was in school. In fact, I don't even remember there being so many vintage shops. I'm seeing it with new eyes,
Well,
which
you
is
were in
so fun.
college. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, totally. And I didn't
like
have
I
any
mean, how
money.
much like free time for shopping do you have
None,
when you were in
zero.
college?
You know what I reminisced about when I was in the Marais? All I could hear was like my boots hitting the cobblestones, like running to get from school to pick up my, the girls that I taught English to, and just constantly just like running through from station to wherever I was going, and I was always in a rush because I was a student and I was also working, and it was a lot. I mean, it was just a lot. Like I wasn't out and about at the bistros, like having an Aperol spritz. I mean, shit, that's like what I'm planning. That's what I'm doing now. And I will say it's really nice to be an adult and to be so much older, looking back on that time.
Hmm.
And yeah, and so to wrap it up, really, it's like it's. I will say this has been such a fascinating adventure. The whole thing, the collective adventure. Every single place we've gone to is so vastly different, but it all has like cultural elements. Whether it's museums, food, shopping, whatever it is, and from Berlin to like the street style of Berlin to like kind of that bohemian Spanish island vibes of Mallorca, and then to Paris, which is like definitely has more of that sophisticated, you're not going to get an oat milk latte. I mean, you can here and there, but for the most part, you're going to be getting real French culture, which has been a really fun change, honestly. Yeah, it's great. I mean, my journey is coming to an end soon. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. But if you have any comments or queries, email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
Indeed. Yeah, it's been as you were sort of describing your last, few days and your experience and everything, it's like trying to think of the last time I was in Paris. I used to go to Paris a lot. I had good excuses to get there for work and then just kind of stay. But it was always in the winter. And Paris is nice in the winter, but it can be fucking cold.
It can
And
be.
where you're just sort of like your time outside needs to be somewhat limited. And and I like to walk.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't I'm probably not going to walk across the city in the snow. I'll walk like short distances and then go
Yeah.
inside, and get another latte type thing. But I think the last time I was there was 2014, and that sounds insane, but I think
Yeah.
it was. I stayed there for a week. I mean, I remember. Met a friend there, hung out with them for a while.
I
My
remember
French was
actually.
really good at the time, so I felt like pretty cool. And then I had gone to Iceland after that. Anyway, I remember that trip, and I'm pretty sure that was the last time, which is cray cray. But uh, you know, it's very cliche to be like Paris is the most beautiful city in the world, but I really do think it is.
It really is.
It totally depends on what you want out of a city. And there are other cities that I find, exciting in different ways, or very, very beautiful in a way that Paris is not, et cetera, et cetera. It's apples and oranges, right? But
It
there is
is.
something about that city that I love in a very unique way.
Yeah, same.
It's just, I don't know, je ne sais
Yeah, I
quoi.
know. It's a je ne sais quoi is what they say. I
Yeah,
can't put my finger on it, but
it
yeah.
just is. It's lovely. Glad you're having fun.
Hey, yeah, I want to say one last thing. I'm actually staying. Thanks, man. I am staying in the first arrondissement, which is a little bit of a different stomping ground for me. And what I think is really cool is it's kind of like the Japanese quarter. I mean, there is just like we're on a street that's just like all Japanese restaurants and shops and like matcha places and like mochi. There's like mochi spots that just sell mochi. And I'm like, where am I? This is crazy. I don't remember there being such a prominent Japantown in Paris, even though I probably just
Especially in the
never came
first. I
over
mean, I
here.
stayed in the first a couple times, and it's like, you're pretty central. The
Yeah.
Louvre's sort of right there. So it's a cool hood. But yeah,
It is.
I don't remember seeing that,
Yeah,
or maybe it's just different or new.
it's really cool, and I really like it because I would say the two cultures that I like love the most are like French and Japanese. So it's like putting the two together for me, and it's been really great. Like today, I instead of getting a French lunch, I got some of those wonderful rice rice hand rolls, that have like the spicy tuna and they're warm and they have like seaweed. I got 2 of those and they were so
It
delicious.
sounds
It's
like you
kind
went
of
to a
funny
sushi
to eat
place, Heather.
Japanese. I know, it's
She's like,
weird
there
in
was
France.
rice and seaweed
I mean, it was just
and
delicious.
fish.
So good. I just love those rice cakes. I used to get them actually in Japan at the 7-Elevens, which are like really nice there. You can
Yeah.
get these rice they're like rice cakes and they're so tasty and it totally reminded me of that.
I was just
Anyway,
talking
I
to somebody the
digress.
other day about the 7-Elevens in Japan. I've only been to Japan once, and that was probably about 10 years ago. But I don't remember like going into a 7-Eleven,
Oh, really?
and maybe I did. I don't know. I probably didn't because I was like 7-Eleven. I could do that at home. And yeah, I was having a conversation with somebody, and they're like, "Oh no, it's like this known thing that the 7-Elevens are like
Yeah, it's true.
nice,
People do
and
their
have
like
like
full shopping there.
yeah, you get like a really decent lunch type thing. But Japan has all sorts of vending machines that are also not just a bunch of M&Ms, and
Yeah,
they just
exactly.
do things it's a little cooler over there.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
Well,
Japanese
speaking
culture
of
is
cool,
definitely
Heather,
cool.
this is so you know how you'll come across, I don't know, I follow lots of like magazines on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. I'm just not going to. It's Twitter for the time being. I'm just not there yet.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like just, New York Times or Vogue
Sure.
magazine or whatever. And one of the magazines I follow is Pitchfork, which is a music magazine. One of many, but it's it's Pitchfork. It's one of the bigger ones. And when an album gets, because they rate albums, when an album gets like a really glowing review on Pitchfork, I'm like, I should check it out, right?
Sure.
Everything's streaming on Apple Music. And some things are up my alley and some things aren't. I am not a music head like some of my friends. In fact, I sort of, I don't know. I fall back onto like music I already know and like these days a lot more than discovery, because I'm just, well, first, I was about to say I don't have time. I do have time. I usually use that audio time listening to podcasts. I mean, I listen to, when
Same.
I'm at the gym, it's like music. It used to be the only way I could work out. It's like, I need a
Yeah.
good, let's put on Daft Punk or something, and I'm going to
Yeah.
be a machine for the next hour. And now it's like, I need a story. I need to follow a story. So music discovery for me is, I do my best. I listen to the big stuff, but I think I could try a lot harder. Anyway, so perusing Twitter the other day, there's a link, Pitchfork. It's like top something, and I didn't really look at, the whatever the little clip was next to the link, and I open it up, and it's like. I'll read you because I've got it open right now. The
Okay.
200 most important artists of Pitchfork's first 25 years. And I was like,
Wow.
Jesus Christ, I'm not going to read all that.
That's crazy.
It's also very specific. It's like the
Sure.
200 most important artists, like not 100, which would be a really long list. 200. And it's in
Wow.
Pitchfork's first 25 years. Pitchfork started in 1996. So this is not like Bob Dylan, one of the, obviously in the top 200. It's like, no, we're talking about 1996 to now. And that's like very, 1996. Well, I was an adult, but I was a young one, very young. And, you know, I'm a little bit older now, but I'm like, okay, that's interesting because the genres of music have changed quite a bit since then. But it's like, okay, 25 years, 200 artists, and it's current, right? And, walking back from its currency. Now, I'm not even like halfway through this thing, but I am enjoying it. And it's funny because if you just like Google 200 Pitchfork important artists, I'm sure you'll get this right away. But the page itself is like kind of fun, and they've definitely done some, styling, and they also group artists into like the icons, the essentials. So
That's
they've got,
fun.
it's categorized in a way. There doesn't seem to be any way to sort of jump. So it's like if you start at, And they're not, by the way, they're not ranked. Like, it's not like 176, 175. It's just like
I like that
they're
because that's
in
normally the
they're
way it
in
is.
groups, and collectively
I'm
it
definitely
makes
going to read
it
those,
makes
Sarah.
200. Yeah. However, when you're kind of like, I don't know, let's say I've gotten down like to the 20th artist, it's like, well, to like jump back up to the top or go back and, like, it's a little hard to navigate. It's kind of just one big scroll session. However, I'm having fun with it. Now, some of the artists are like obvious, like Taylor Swift. She's in the icon category, right? But then
Yeah.
you get like Caribou in the essentials area. Like,
Sure.
I know the band, but like I couldn't tell you one of their songs.
Yeah.
And so I've been having all this fun. Or like Broken Social Scene. I'm like, I know who that is. Like, they were like a band with like a bunch of people in the band. But I like can't tell you one of the songs, but I know that I've heard it. And so then I go to Apple Music and I like, sometimes it's like artist best of, or it's like an album that Pitchfork mentions as like, because they like give everybody a paragraph, and then they like link back to where Pitchfork originally liked, the album from the artist. And, it's all a big, let's get clicks type thing. So good on you, Pitchfork, because I'm doing it. But then I'm like going to Apple Music and opening up an album and being like, what was that song I liked on the album? Because often I can't remember the name of the song because it wasn't like my favorite artist ever or my favorite band. But
Yeah.
but a group or a song or a time in my life where I'm like, oh yeah, I loved this song. And some of the artists I'm
fun.
like, I've never even heard of this person. But then, I can't know everybody. And there's certain like, especially sort of, I don't know, like there was an artist who was like sort of like a club DJ, and I did some Googling and I'm like, very beloved. I wasn't into that music at the time that the artist was a big thing.
Sure.
Or like doing ravey stuff. So how would I know about them? Anyway, having a ton of fun with it. I still think it's a little insane to expect me to read all 200 of these paragraphs, but but I think I might do it. I'm just gonna keep the tab open and
do it over time.
and keep going back. Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun, and I have this is some weird form of discovery that I either never heard of the artist, or I never really understood the significance of the artist, or I'm reminded again why, when I say artist, it could be multiple people in a group, obviously. I'm reminded why I should listen to that album again next time I'm, taking a drive through the vineyards.
I love this. In fact, this will be really fun for me to do because I've been listening to a lot of music on this trip because we've been creating playlists for each city. It was like kind of like the dark electro stuff for Berlin, and then we had more of the like fun, dancey, happy stuff for Mallorca. Oh, we haven't actually made a Paris. Well, we have like a sort of a Paris playlist. But yeah, it's been hearkening me back to some of the stuff that I really love that I'm sure are on this list, and I had forgotten about them. So what a fun little thing. And it's funny about hearkening back. Pitchfork. I mean, I remember reading Pitchfork daily back then. Pitchfork was always this great new music website. Always dug deep into interesting things and had like very interesting things to say about new bands and whatnot. So I will definitely check it out, Sarah.
In particular, certain music critics that write for Pitchfork. I mean, there are a lot of great writers out there. I'm not
For sure. Oh, 100%.
but there's when I read whether it's like enthusiastically, I loved this album. Let's just say it's an album review. Or like, I did not, and here's why. It's like when somebody can describe like the feeling of a sound, like
Yes.
eloquently to the point where I'm like, I'm pretty good at like prose in certain respects, but like I can't do that.
Yeah,
I can't.
it's a
I'm
special
not
skill.
like, I don't have like the brain for like the levels of music theory And to be able to at least, like I'm like, I know what I like, but I don't totally know why I like it
Yeah.
half the
Yeah.
time. And so somebody who's just gonna like nerd out to music and write like 1,500 words about, the way that something was sampled in a song, it's like I enjoy that quite a bit.
It is such a skill. I mean, it really is. It's some of that stuff is a little heady for me, but I do like reading about music. So you have triggered to get me back into it. If I sound a little tired, by the way, like I said, I've been burning the candle, and also I just want to note really quickly here that if the audio has seemed slightly off since I've been gone, that's because it was. And we're trying to figure out the levels, and hopefully with this show the levels will be better, but I apologize if I was like sort of loud in your ear on any of the previous episodes. I'll
Oh,
be home
Heather, they
soon.
understand. You're
Yeah.
traveling. I mean, you've been
Yeah.
in a different room every time. I mean, I can see
Totally.
Heather right now. It's very Paris behind
It's very
you.
Paris.
It's very
Totally.
beautiful. Gosh,
It
I love it. I
is.
love it.
It
I'm
is. It's.
jelly.
I will say it's been pretty rainy, but right now it's sunny. It's kind of like the rain that comes and goes. Almost like we had these like monsoony things where it would just like rain really heavy and then the sun would come out. There was one kind of a drizzly day, but for the most part, we've had a fair amount of clear sky and
That's
no
nice.
rain. It's been nice. It's felt very, and it's warm. So it's like in the 70s. So you can wear a t-shirt. I mean, it's not cold. You don't even really need a jacket at night, which is so lovely. I mean, I have to say that's what I really miss. I
Well,
didn't
we're speaking as
love
California people here because everyone on the East Coast
exactly.
or Midwest is like, that's what it's like in the summer.
Yeah, I actually don't love, like, I mean, in Mallorca, I mean, it was like 95 degrees and 89 degrees, and like, that's too hot for me. But like the 70s is perfect. I need to find a place in the world that has 75-degree weather all year round, or at least some of the year round. But I know we need to wrap up here shortly, but I wanted to mention one little thing, one little nagging question that I've been asking myself since I've been on this trip. I've been trying to be, in between all the excitement and the ambling and the eating. I don't know, I want to have some epiphanies about my life. I'm far away from my life, and I want to know, yeah, like am I doing things right? Is my life good back home? What do I want to do more of? Because I've got this distance, and I'm sort of like, I want to be a little philosophical about about things as I'm gone, because it sort of helps me have that like distance, I guess. And so, one of the things that I was really worried about before I left, you know how we've talked about this on the show ad nauseum. It's just like all the anxiety we have before a trip. And one of those bits of anxiety that I have is I really worry about being homesick. My animals, my creature comforts, like my comfortable bed, like all the things, and even just like my little home rituals that I love so much. And it's so interesting. It's like I really haven't been very homesick yet, and I actually hardly at all. And I've been sort of wondering what that means, and like, is that good or bad? And I know that actually, when I approach the weekend, probably as I transition back to the United States, I'm heading to New York on Saturday. So I have a few more days in Paris, and then I start kind of working my way back to the West Coast on Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. And I've just been like, gosh, does that mean that my home life isn't sat? No, I don't think it does. I've been kind of unpacking this in my mind, and what I think it is that I am truly consciously forcing myself into the moment. I'm not even forcing myself. I'm naturally in the moment, and if I fall out of the moment, then I kind of try to pop myself back in so that I can really maximize this trip. I mean, this trip, it's cost me a lot. It's a big trip. I got to make it worth it, right? I mean, it's like one of those things that, like, I'm here. I might as well really milk it for what it is. And I think I'm just consciously very aware of that. So I think it's a good thing. I don't think about home and think, oh gosh, like my skin crawls, I can't go home. It's not like that at all. I know that it'll be a pleasant return. I will be happy to be back in my house. in my routine. I don't want to go back to work, but that's another story. But I wanted to share with you something I read, and I don't remember where I read it. It probably was on one of the myriad Substacks that I subscribe to. Next time I will have to jot down who brought this up. This is actually a quote that they didn't make up. They just it appealed to them for different reasons. So it's an actual like Zen Buddhist sort of thing. And it sort of originates from tea ceremonies that happen in Japan. And it's the word is called Ichigo Ichii, and it means one life and one encounter. And it speaks to the idea that no encounter or experience or situation can ever be recreated, that each moment and each convergence of time, space, light, mood, thought, and circumstance is singular and unrepeatable. As such, every moment should be met with one's full attuned senses. Some encounters plant seeds and take root over time, while others change the course of one's life into a single moment. It is the understanding that every moment is once in a lifetime, that each one will never happen again. And I did touch on this last week, and I found this quote because I was thinking about it a lot, and I love it, and I'm really embracing this Ichigo Ichii thing, and I think we all should try to step away from our phones, our technology, and try to really, really immerse yourself into the moment. Feel the sound and the temperature and just really sink yourself in. So I'm going to continue doing that for the next week or so, and then I will be back home before I know it, being hit like a ton of bricks. Reality is going to come down on me hard. But I head over to New York in a few days, and we do a little bit of an upstate Hudson Valley little tour with some friends up there, and then I go home. And so that's sort of the update from here across the globe, Sarah.
Well, I think it sounds real fun. And I haven't really had the luxury of a trip like the one that you're having in quite some time. Pre-COVID. Pre-COVID is the last time I was really doing stuff. So we're due over here as well. But I know what you mean. I know the feeling of like, the anticipation of the trip can sometimes be like stressful, and then you're on the trip and you have to unwind for a couple of days, but then you do.
Yes.
And then you're like, where's home? Home feels so far away. Wow, the world is big. This is so exciting. Am I like wasting away at home? I should do this all the time. And then you get tired, and then you miss home, and then you appreciate home.
It's a cycle. Exactly.
It's all of that stuff that's the beauty of, seeing other stuff. And getting out of the comfort zone and getting out of the routine. And, I know some people don't have the luxury of traveling ever. And, I even have a really good friend of mine from childhood. She just never wanted to travel. This is a very smart person. She's very well read. She knows, she's very street smart. I mean, she's not like trying to live in a bubble at all. She's just sort of like, I would rather have a nice car than like go to Paris. And she's just always like, these are decisions that she's always made for herself. And I used to like, it would bother me and I would push her, or like try to get her to think the way that I thought. And I gave that up a long time ago. And it's like, we're all just doing our thing.
Exactly.
And that's, I don't.
And it's all good. It's like apples and oranges.
Yeah,
Whatever works for
I mean,
you.
you're going to learn a lot about life if you do a lot of travel. That's just, you can't help it. But there's a lot to learn anyway. So I'm happy that you're having a good time, Heather. I
agree.
I am vicariously living through you. I am
Wonderful.
I am jealous, but I also, I don't know. I'll just go to the gym later and pound out my frustration.
Yeah.
On the
you'll be here soon
Stairmaster.
enough.
Yeah,
You will.
I'll deadlift some shit. I'll ask like a big dude at the gym. There are some meatheads at this gym. I'll ask a big dude, "Hey, can I deadlift you? How much do you weigh?" And just like see what the
God,
reaction
in a
is.
few months, you're going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like fit. You're
Well,
just
I
gonna
don't.
be like,
I don't think.
dead
I
weight.
actually don't think that's possible. But
No.
I can get. What was the
kinda
movie
muscular.
Knocked Up with You know the movie. Now,
Yes.
Katherine Heigl and Seth Rogen.
Yes.
There's like she works at a TV station, and the whole, like, she's got this like creepy boss, and it's always, he once she has to tell them like, well, I'm pregnant, so I'm gonna be like pregnant on the air, and he's like, and once you have the baby, you look great, and we're just gonna want to tighten. We're going to want to tighten up again, right? We're just not lose weight. We don't, not us telling you to lose weight. We just want to tighten. And I always think of it that way. I'm like, that's just, sometimes I'm like, I'm a little juicy right now, and I would like to tighten things.
I would really like to tighten, especially after Paris. I mean, let me tell you, the boulangeries, all the things.
Yeah. Well, you deserve it. You're there. What else are you going to do? All right, y'all. Real quick, want to thank all of our patrons for being patrons. We'd love to have more patrons. If you're listening to the show and you're not a patron, you've probably heard some ads. And that is totally your choice. We're not going to make you become a patron. We always are going to offer the show for free. No big whoop. But patrons do keep our lights on, so to speak. And we'd love to have more of them. If you want to find out more about directly supporting the show, patreon.com/havesuchagoodday is where to find out more about that.
Well said, Sarah Lane. Yeah, we're wrapping up episode 200, y'all. It's a pretty big feat. I'm feeling really happy, Sarah, that it happened to land on my trip to Paris. How cool is that?
It feels right.
It feels right.
It somehow feels right. We could not possibly have made this happen, except organically. So there you go. It's kismet, y'all.
Well, we're gonna take our party pants. We're gonna keep them on for forever.
Right?
And,
yeah, we are.
We just love hanging out with y'all, and we're so happy to do it every week. We're so glad you're along with us for the ride. And until episode 201.
Until episode 201, which is one episode before 202, and you know what that means.
Oh, we haven't had a
Pally
episode in a while, in a minute. So
Pally
that'll
pow
be
pow.
super fun.
Yeah.
We will have our party pants on for that one. Faux show.
We will.
In the meantime, I will remain Sarah. No, actually, I will remain Heather.
Oh, Heather.
And
you are nothing if not consistent. She's Heather. I am Sarah, okay? Get it straight.
Burnt out, let me tell you. I'm gonna go home and sleep and Netflix and chill for a month.
There you go. See, that sounds fun too. All right, everybody.
Yeah.
We will see you next week. Well, we'll talk to you next week anyway. And you all have such a good day.
Ciao.